Right, I've cleaned up all my bits and pieces, so I've painted my butterfly on her hip. There you can see a butterfly. It's a very basic butterfly. We didn't do anything fancy. In this scale, she's very small, so all we want to do is give some detail. Now I've got a hair stuck here. I want to just get this hair out. There we go. This is the joys of having cats in the studio. Actually, they've been very quiet today. I'm surprised they haven't come wandering in to see what we're doing. Okay. I'm going to continue on this vein here where I'm playing. Just, if your lines are not thin and you don't like them, wipe them out and just try again. The less paint you have on your brush, the easier a thin line is to create. And if you can't do it in one motion, don't worry, do it in two. Nowhere in the book does it say we have to do it in one motion. I like to have a bit of a bubble on my curves. This gives it a little bit of character. I want to take this line down like that to there. Now remember, I'm going to do something here around her leg and her foot. Because I've got a broken ankle here, I'm going to create quite a lot of detailing on her foot. So in other words, we're actually creating a feature out of our mistake. Because once you've painted it, you will not see that it was broken, and you will hide it with lots of beads. Penny, enough, thank you, Penny. Sorry, that's just Penny telling everybody again. Let me go and get her quiet. Right, sorry about Penny. She just really doesn't like the people that are here at the moment. They're upsetting her terribly. Anyway, I'm turning around and just getting a little bit of continuity between my legs. They don't have to be the same. Please remember, she's a fantasy feature. So let's not worry about getting her the same. I tend to get totally carried away when I'm painting like this because I just love the contrast. I love the effect. So bear with me while I'm just sharing my fun with you. Now don't worry about these little double lines because we'll sort them out just now. Okay, I'm going to turn her around so that I don't touch all this wet paint on her legs, and I'm going to start again with her top. I'm going to hold her slightly at an angle because it just makes it a little bit easier to paint. And I'm going to put her bra line back in again. I want to take this round. Remember, there's no design there, so you can literally do whatever you like. Just to be a little bit different today, I'm going to do it slightly differently to the other ones that I've done, just to give you the idea. Just steady my hand. Remember, you're going to put beads and stuff on as well, so a lot of your painting will be hidden basically by your paints. Okay, I'm going to take this one around, and I'm going to bring it into her shoulder and down her arm. And I think on this one I'm going to bring it down there. So you've got a fair idea there on how to paint. Now some of your dolls, you were lucky enough that actually had the holes already put in for you for the feelers. Some of the dolls didn't. My original one in fact didn't have, and I did the feelers afterwards. So you can, while you are painting, you've got your wire. Depending on how long you want your feelers, I'm going to paint mine at a later stage. But if you haven't got the holes for your feelers, just make a U-bend in your wire, fit it onto her head like that, bending it slightly down, and glue it in place. I then covered that whole piece of wire under there with beads, and it just made it look like it was supposed to be there. So you can do it either way. Anyway, we're running ahead of ourselves at the moment. Let me get finished with my painting of her. I'm going to let this one dry so long, and I'm going to carry on playing with the one we started earlier today. Now you can start to see some of the effects that we've got, and I'm going to add a little bit of detail in paint here for wrong paintbrush. I'm painting with too many brushes today. It rolled away. I just want to highlight this on her tummy. She's got such a lovely tummy, you want to actually highlight it. Okay, now I'm not going to do very much about her legs and things, and you see I've done a flower on her shoulder. Now right now I honestly do not know where her arms are on my desk, so I'm going to take 3 minutes quickly to go and find another set of arms. I'll be right back. Some people find it easier to work with their standing on a little wheel that goes round. I in fact do have 2 of those wheels, and I will be working with mine a little bit later. But just out of interest, I'm going to show you now how I did her stand. And if you look, it really was one of those boxes that I have stripped. I like to be able to wedge my doll and have her standing that she's like she's supposed to be. So I'm going to quickly open this one. I'll find a scissors like that. With this particular one, I just put a sticker over that piece that was open, because if I poured in afterwards resin or glue to look like water, would run through. So I'm going to use that base for the other doll. I'm going to use this one for this one. It's interesting because my mom always says I collect all the rubbish, and I do. I can't stand throwing things away because there's always a use for it. Now you could in fact have your doll standing in a flower. As long as your flower has been secured and it is stable, you could in fact put her on a flower. You could put her on the edge. This was a candle holder, on the edge of a candle holder, and create a little garden. It's really up to you. You can put her in virtually any scene. Because she stands so stably on that one leg, you only have to literally glue that one leg down. But before I do that, I want to quickly close off this with a piece of plastic. To find my paper scissors, go, and some of the plastic I have. There we go. This is in fact sticky plastic. You can't see it through it, but I'm going to just cut a piece like that and pull that through. There we go. Now you can cut it that it fits over that piece. I just want to seal it so that if we do put resin or something in here later on, we don't have a leaking problem. And just to be really safe, I'm going to just trim that off, and I'm going to put a piece underneath. Now with this one that I did in the blue, I will eventually edge this off with a piece of blue velvet, but I didn't do that because I wanted to show you first what we were doing. Okay, so now we've got that like that. I'm going to make her standing, almost walking out of the water. So I'm going to stick her down on that foot. I'm going to find my super glue. Because from here you'll find it a bit easier to work with her. My super glue is blocked again. So to grab a pin. In my drawers, there we go. There we go. Just remember your super glue does come out fairly quickly, so try and control, you don't want too much on here. And I'm going to literally stick her in like that. Too ambitious, too quick. Hold on, let's let that dry completely. Just want to get that off. Now, because I sprayed the spray too quickly, I've actually broken my seal with the super glue. So let me just wipe this out. I love the spray, but if you don't get it 100% in the right place, you tend to break your contact. There we go. Oops. And let's just get you down the right place. There we go. Right. Now you're going to find it a little bit easier to sort of move her around and start putting your glitter and stuff on. I'm going to get my wheelie just now. I'm not going to worry too much about her base at this stage. We'll do all the decorating on the base and the flowers and stuff when we finished her. But first we're going to work out what we're doing with her. I really like her pink, almost like pants that she's got on now. And I love this leg that comes back. Just as a different change, it's nice. If you want to make your life easy, for want of a better way of putting it, you can work with your Monojet syringe and you start putting your glitter and stuff on, and obviously your little toothpick. Now you need to sort of have some idea where you're going to want things. I like to work with a lid. I just put glue in my lid and my paintbrush. My Monojet, I find, is just sometimes a bit too thick for me for this very fine work that I'm busy with now. Now I know I've got to put a fair amount on here for her bra, so I'm going to put the glue down, not too thick but fairly thick. Don't worry about the paint that might be coming out of your paintbrush, because you're going to take your beads and with your toothpick, wet your toothpick and start putting them on. Again, work with the little pieces at a time. You're going to find it a lot easier. Now because these very tiny beads are so small, it actually is brilliant for her. It looks the right scale. The slightly bigger ones I found them a little bit too thick. And want to do the next bit, just dollop some there, a little bit over there. Now you can actually layer it as well, which gives you quite a different effect. So wet your toothpick, pick up and gently put them down. Don't worry if they go on top of each other, it just gives you depth. I'm going to throw all my beads out of this little packet because the packet's getting in my way. Wet your toothpick, pick up a nice amount and just gently pat them into the glue. Now because your glue is still quite wet, you can actually manipulate it and move it around if you want to. So if you've got it a bit too thick or a bit too thin, or you want more, just add. I just want to grab this so that I stop putting my hand in front of the camera. Okay, there's my glue. Now I want to cover her nipples, but I mean, you're entitled. You know, you can leave it open if you want to. That's each person's preference. And there we go. And then when you've done one side like that and it's drying, leave it until a bit later before you try and do the other one. I found I tend to mess too much if I do it all in one. Now I'm going to just put a little bit. I want to put a bit of this purple in here just to give us some continuity here. Remember, you can put as much as you want on. Okay, now I'll manage it. Now you can, exactly what I'm busy doing now, if you want to create a shape on where you've already got glitter or paint, just gently put your glue down and then start patting your beads in to that bit of glue. And see how you've got that bit of lilac purple coming in now? I'm going to actually run it down the front here, a bit of a line, squiggle line, and then I'm going to just do dot, dot, and dot. Now the dot, dot, dots are actually quite fun to do because you literally put just a dot there. Now, if you end up with glue on your toothpick like I did, just wipe it off onto your doll and carry on. Right, now I'm going to let that dry for a little while. I want to just put a dollop here. I want to just give a bit of almost bulk here on her hip. Just getting all the glue off my toothpick. Wipe it to be clean again. There we go. Right, so you've got a bit of an idea there of what we're doing now and how we're applying all these little beads and things. I'm going to let her stand out of the way here for a little bit and just start drying while we work on the other one. Now, basically, as I say, there is no rule about how this has got to be. So you've really got to just be comfortable with what you're doing and play. This one I'm going to do, I think, slightly differently. I'm going to still give her that, but I'm only going to do that piece. I want a thin line of just those little purple beads. So you can then put them in a line, and because you've got quite a bit of glue, you can move them around, get them into the line you want them in, and then you can let them set and dry. Oh, my dogs just heard the guys again. Let's just Penny, enough, girl. Penny is right underneath the table here. This is why she sounds so loud. Penny is very seldom very far from her mother. I tend to fall over at least 10 times a day. There we go. See, I wanted a thinner line. So in order to get that thinner line, I've just worked slightly slower and worked with less glue. Put a little bit of glue there. Again, let's just, I like to work over my dish because I tend to mess quite a lot. I end up with little glass beads all over my house. Because they roll off the table, they fall onto Penny, and then Penny walks around with them. And then we look like fairy twinkle toes, her and I, because we're both glittering from all the glitter.